A ver, enfoque. Buenos días. Buenos días. Good morning. Well, good morning for me. Maybe it's afternoon for you guys. I'm not going to paint this. That's why I put it like upside down. I'm actually going to do, hello Tegan. I'm going to do a, like a study of a portrait that I want to do a bigger painting of. So the portrait is going to be part of the full figure painting that I want to do. And I'm thinking of doing like a really large painting, so we'll see. So let's get going. So I'm going to paint on top of this. This is just me kind of sketching with a kind of like a calligraphy, one of those calligraphy pens. I think I have one of those around here somewhere. Sometimes I mix it up, so I'll do color pencil, then colors. I'll do what else? What else do I sketch? Like regular pen, brush pens, and some of these calligraphy pens. Just so so I don't get used to like drawing like a certain way. But so I'm not going to start with a drawing. I'm kind of going to sketch it on top. So it's probably going to be a little bit confusing at the beginning, just seeing all these shapes underneath, but they don't bother me. So, and I just want to use this page to like sketch. So, we'll do that, and that's cool. Hola, Lina. Cuidado con los, ay, juepucha. Cuidado con los pelos de Vasma. Pobre niña se va a morir. So let's get to it. What am I going to use? I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use my kind of saturated palette. Yeah, or maybe like a mix. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about it. So titanium white, cat lemon yellow, cat red medium, alizarin maybe? Alizarin maybe? Yeah, maybe. Raw umber and ultramarine. No, not ultramarine blue. Let's do cobalt blue. Why those choices? Because I kind of want to push. There's like a lime green background. There's going to be like a lime green background, and I want to get that kind of nice and saturated. But first, let's kind of work out the drawing. And I'm not going to use medium again. So the less I use medium, the more I'm convinced that I don't like it. I don't want it. Since I have this set up for the videos, I have to put my head like right on top of my cell phone so I don't get distorted, so I don't get my my drawing distorted. I've gotten it distorted so much because I'm kind of looking kind of up at my sketchbook, but anyways, doesn't matter. Let's see. So I kind of want to do her head like up to here, maybe. Oh, I should push her to this side, though. Oh, God. Don't worry. It's just my baby fell. But she's fine. She's fine. My tube ringer fell. You know, the thing I used to squeeze the paint from my paint tubes? This thing. This big-ass thing. So that's going to make a sound. It wasn't my baby. It's not my kid. They don't make that sound when they fall. I should know that. Don't worry about it. They're totally fine. So I should push her to this side a little bit. And I'm pushing her to this side because there's this really nice kind of shape of hair around this side. I should push her even more. So, let's see. Okay, she's got glasses. She was this great model that that I painted, kind of like the heavyset model that I painted in my workshop, in my last workshop. She's really, really wonderful. and she's got this beautiful face, kind of like vintage pinup-y. What would that be, like 19, what is that? I don't even know, 30s maybe? I don't even know. Kind of look to her. So, or maybe not. Maybe like 50s, is it? Anyways, so my plan is to have her portrait here. Maybe you guys can kind of tell what I'm doing. And have like this big shape of her body just really open. Just super, super open. And I think it's going to look really cool. And I was thinking about pushing her portrait more towards this side, just so that I can get these little bits of hair on this side. But now it doesn't seem kind of right, and it's just a study of her portrait, so I'll be fine if her hair kind of sort of goes out of the page. I think that's kind of cool. Hello, Obabo. So let me see. The cool thing about drawing this way is that you sort of almost guarantee that you're going to be drawing while you paint constantly. And you have to be super concentrated on what you're doing. So I'm trying to spot little anchor points on my drawing that are going to help me so I don't get totally lost while I'm painting. Let's see. I think that's kind of cool. Thank you for all these videos. Yeah, sure. No, cool. It's really happy for me. It's great practice. Like I said, I think like as soon as I'm done with my classes, I'm gonna start with the channel, the YouTube channel. So, you know, this is great practice and is a great way to just sort of build up this wonderful community, because you guys are really awesome. I mean, it's super cool to know that you know, I just want to hang out with people while I'm painting, and there's always going to be somebody there. You know, you're not just speaking to like air, so that's really awesome. Oh, raconteurs. I just put like a YouTube like raconteurs thing. We'll see where that leads. You know, we always make fun in like our drawing class that in my friend's computer, anything you put in YouTube, it'll lead to like Dua Lipa or you know, it's really gordos. It's really terrible. But we'll see where that takes us, because I didn't make like a playlist or anything, so we'll see where that goes. So hopefully you guys, yeah, I think, let me look at the phone. Yeah, you guys can kind of tell what I'm doing right now. So what really attracts me from this particular painting, or what I really want to get to in this particular painting, is that there's a really nice kind of rich, dark shape. You know, her hair is like super dark and rich. So that's why I'm using that. I'm using ultramarine, which I said that I wasn't going to use. I said I was going to use cobalt, so yeah, that's bad on me. But ultramarine, raw umber, and alizarin. So that's cool. Cool to have a sketchbook in oil series, though. Yeah, I love that. It's just, you know, a large painting is usually demands something very different from you while you paint it. And it's harder to, I mean, it would be cool to make like a series. It would be like a cool idea to do like a series in YouTube, just following the progression of a large painting. And it would be really nice to do it from you know, like conception to like final execution. Because I sometimes find that those things are like super helpful. Not just the way you execute an image, or you do these paintings in like an hour and a half, 2 hours, But the way sort of an idea evolves, and how, while you're painting something, you can change your mind, and the way you realize that maybe something that, an objective that you had set out for yourself is not really working. I find those things are like really wonderful to see when you can see like a painter working, a painter at work. So it's just like it's really eye-opening when you see a painter's sort of thought process, and how that thought process is actually conceived in painting. So maybe we can do one of those. Those are far more demanding, though, I feel. They're probably harder to produce. But yeah, I'll definitely do one of those. Because it's a change of pace. It's a really different change of pace. Very different from these. So this is kind of cool. I kind of like these shapes. I would have wanted I would have wanted to put her the whole mass of her hair on this side. I would have wanted that to fit. But for that to fit, I would have either had to push her a ton to this side, and I wouldn't have been comfortable doing that. Or I would have had to make the head smaller, but I kind of wanted to paint the head this size. So it's kind of like, it's a small compromise, I guess. And we'll see. And like I said, it's a sort of study. So I'm going to keep this brush. This is what I usually do. I'm going to keep this brush for darks. So at least for now. And this is one of those lighting cases where everything is cool. Like the light is cool, the shadow is cool. Oh, don't ever believe that there's, that lighting can't be cool, or warm. All those four combinations can work. Cool light, warm shadows, cool light, cool shadows, warm light, warm shadows, warm light, cool shadows. So all of those can work. You should definitely load into YouTube. Yeah, I don't. With these, I don't. I would have to be recording my screen on the phone, and I don't do that. If somebody else does that, that's fine. I know that this somebody's been putting some of these in YouTube, and I totally don't mind. I think the quality's not that great when you do that screen, but that's fine. And I kind of like that this is a thing that people share, and they have to sort of look for it in a specific day. That's totally fine. I promise there's going to be so many more of these that it's not like you're going to miss something. It's just, it makes it a little more special, I feel. So these shadows are very open. By open, I mean that there's a ton of light that's actually getting into those shadows. And I think that's probably like the hardest but the most attractive part of painting this particular lighting condition is the fact that there's a lot of subtleties in these shadows. A lot of you have to be really, really sensitive to like small changes, but still keep them in the value that that they are, which is not as dark as you would usually understand the shadow to be. So, and that's pretty cool, because many times when people say, "Oh, that's a shadow," people tend to believe that it has to be like a really, really dark value. It's almost like a very Baroque way of thinking. But truth is, these, there's different lighting conditions that can create different relationships between light and shadow. And in this particular one, the shadow, the shadow is going to be a value that's like super light. Not super, super light, but light for a shadow, at least. And just really controlling that is quite beautiful, I feel. So never get used to just one way of like a lighting setup. I always tell people that's super important to always kind of push yourself to paint different sorts of lighting. So you don't your hand just doesn't get used to and your brain just doesn't get used to thinking that they understand how to paint light and how to paint shadow, or they just start associating like different color mixes with light and color mixes with shadow. That way you don't find yourself saying, "Oh, this is what I paint for skin," which is like I've always said this, but you guys are probably tired of me saying this, but which is totally ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So one of the ways you avoid saying stuff like that is just painting people. If you love to paint people, this is not going to be hard. It's going to be awesome to try to find like different models with different skin tones. But all that effort so that you don't get used to like yourself, so you don't get used to like your way of thinking. And you're actually constantly reacting to what the person that's posing in front of you or that you're using as a model is offering. So always change it up constantly. It'll keep you on your toes all the time. Saludar a San Corlo, J. San Corlo. ¿Qué hubo, J. San Corlo? ¿Cómo está? So there are changes. It gets slightly warmer here, and I'm using like a smaller brush for this, but because I kind of want to try to get specifics in the shadow. Like I'm watching the sort of the drawing that my shadow masses have. I'm trying to be kind of respectful of that right now. Not overly precious with it, but respectful nonetheless. And I'm using as my core sort of mix for the shadows, and all I'm doing is just shifting value within that mix, is ultramarine, cat lemon yellow, and cat red. So, let's see. ¿Por qué estás patas arriba? Yo no, Camila, yo estoy bien. O sea, yo, mira, estoy bien. No, lo puse para que el dibujo no distrajera. Como que igual lo voy a tapar entonces. Pero para que no pareciera que iba a pintar el dibujo de abajo. Pero no, yo no estoy patas arriba, yo estoy estable. Estoy con las patas en el suelo. So let's do this. I'm still kind of squinting. I tend to squint a lot at my reference. I think I have that from... It's just second nature now that every time I'm painting, I'm just immediately squinting, which looks ridiculous when you squint at a photograph, but Please, sir, English. We're going to do English and Spanish. Don't worry. If I say anything important, I'll try to do it English and Spanish. If I'm just rambling like an idiot, I'll for sure say it in English and Spanish. Okay. I think this is good. So if you can see, it's really, really open. Like the value is so far from the dark of her hair. And she's got really like a really light skin tone too. So she's really fair skin. So that's super cool. Let's see. And I want to get to that background. I've been using what is it? I've been using ultramarine a lot, but I think I'm gonna, I think I'm gonna try to use that cobalt for the cobalt blue light for that background, because that yellow, so we can get a little more saturated. I think it'll look nice. I have an idea in my mind that I hope it kind of works. And that's kind of what I'm looking for right now, to see if it works out. Just the relationship between these and that bright kind of lime green background. I think if those pinks in her body are well executed, they're going to look amazing against that kind of lime green background. If I paint it right. So let me see. I'll go for that right now.
No entiendo para qué dibujar y colocas los negros si luego quedan empatados por el color. ¿Por qué lo haces así?
No te entiendo muy bien. ¿Cómo así empatados? No. Si me puedes explicar un poquitico mejor a lo que te refieres con empatados, te respondo con mucho gusto.
Como que después les paso más o menos por encima, si de pronto quieres decir eso, no sé.
That's a little too yellow, so there's more blue in there.
La pintura cubre los negros.
Sí, pues de pronto porque es ya como una maña que tengo, que siento que si los oscuros se vuelven como un límite muy forzado para el resto de relaciones que quiero hacer de color, pienso que me condiciono mucho en el sentido de que hay veces no me da como susto llegar hasta ese límite del color oscuro. Entonces, para obligarme a no ser tentativo con ese color, como con esa masa oscura, le paso por encima y después la vuelvo y la encuentro. Siempre con con la expectativa y con la responsabilidad de tener que volver a encontrarlo nuevamente, tener que volver a encontrar como ese borde, ese encuentro entre esos dos colores. Esa, digamos, es como la razón. Creo que es eso, creo que me estabas preguntando eso, como para qué hacer una masa de oscuros si después le voy a pasar por encima, como si uno estuviera no siendo muy eficiente con haber marcado unas relaciones, porque pues después las está como tapando. Pero yo siempre pienso que no es tapar, o sea, igual en la pintura queda como un rastro de lo que es el pincel pasando por encima de ese oscuro. Entonces no es literalmente tapar. Todo eso genera unas transiciones súper bonitas que puede que no sean tan aparentes, pero digamos que todas las decisiones que uno toma en la pintura, todas ellas tienen al final como una repercusión sobre los colores que vayas poniendo. Entonces no es que se pierdan.
Hola Nicolás, un abrazo. Uy, qué hubo, Benito. Saludos, muchos saludos. Justo eso. Muy bien, eso es.
So I'm going to do lights now, maybe. I'm going to start putting lights, maybe. Maybe I should put there's some small darks that I should put, just to find her mouth maybe a little bit. I'm not going to describe her mouth, but I just want to find it. And I want to find her nostril over there, kind of just mark it down. And her upper lip has this really cool shape. It kind of goes down and then around. Maybe? No, that's probably too small. No, I think I went too small with that. Let me see. No, it's actually pretty... That's okay. No, that's okay. Okay. No, that's fine. A little concerned if my sort of measurements were right. I always keep, when I speak about measurements, I always keep in my mind, I'm always aware of like distances. Like if I'm doing this shape, for example, that's her eye socket, I'm always looking at her nose also. And you know, if I'm looking at her nose, I'm looking at the distance between her lips, nose and lips, distance between upper to lower lip, then to the bottom of the chin. But I'm also immediately aware of her width, so where the nose is placed against this edge. So I'm constantly checking all my relationships. And that's the best thing you can do. It seems like a lot at first, but it's really cool, really good practice. I'm going to lay in this color right now. It seems like it would be almost like premature to do it. Oh, although I should. No, I should, because I put my hand in here. So. ¿Puedes repetir los colores? Sí, blanco de titanio, amarillo cadmio limón, rojo cadmio medio, rojo alizarín, tierra de sombra natural, azul ultramar y azul cobalto claro. Eso es lo que estoy usando. So, I'm going to use, I'm going to sort of lay it in. Kind of scratchy, but, a very scratched up version of that. But I want to kind of put it down. Whoa, that's way too pink. And it's yellow. I think we've all been there when we're trying to mix something and the colors are super saturated and we forget about it and we start wasting so much color because we put just a little bit of it or maybe too much and then it just overtakes the whole thing. So this probably is going to, you guys are probably not going to see it that well here, but it, because it's super subtle. But, I can see it in my painting. But I want to cover this, or start covering this whole thing up, at least. And while I'm doing this, I'm actually realizing that shadow has to be a little more open also. Thought you were painting upside down, now that I noticed the face. Yeah, I'm not doing like Baselitz, like George Baselitz. No. No, I'm not that gimmicky. We're going to cover this whole thing up. I'm just using like an old page of my sketchbook. That's all it is. Come on. That shit really comes through. Is that ink? Those calligraphy pens, they bleed when you put the acrylic medium on top. They're not water resistant actually, so I've noticed that. Whew, I'm going to have to really lay on the paint here, like thickly, if I want to cover this whole thing up. And the best thing to do it is just kind of do short strokes and then load up and then do short strokes and then load up. Or like a big ass brush and you just like put one stroke down and then that's it. But we'll see. I wanted to have this whole mass though first, and just to have her sort of relate to that big mass. So we'll see. So that's kind of cool. So we'll get to the head. I will send you moleskin from St. Petersburg. Yeah, you do. Send me as many as you want. You know what you should get me? There's still time. Just let's do a workshop over there in June, during the World Cup. Like right now, all you need to find is like people that are interested and do it really quickly and send me Airbnb and pay me with tickets to the World Cup. You know, that's I will work for football. So totally cool with that. So I want to be careful and bold. That doesn't make sense. Makes absolutely no sense. But that's what painting is about. It sounded stupid as soon as I said it, but good paintings are always like that. They're very sensitive, but they're very bold. I have no clue how those people do it, but I'm going to reshape those shadow masses, because if I don't do it, I'm going to start just coloring in my lights, and I don't want that. I noticed that, if I'm a little too careful with those lights, I'm not going to get like a nice relationship between the colors of light and colors of shadow. So I have to be a little bit bolder. She's got glasses, but I don't want to just totally draw light around those, kind of paint light around those glasses. So again, it's always a reminder to, it's that nervousness when you lose something, but then that sort of sense of responsibility of having to find it later on, which is kind of cool. It gives you like purpose while you're painting, just to remind yourself that you have to go for those things eventually, or once again. So that's. Let me block in the whole thing, and I'll show you guys. I'll put it up to the camera so that you can see it, because I know Chad is covering up the painting a little bit. It's good. I want, she's got like bright lipstick, but I don't want to go for that color just yet. I'm going to go for light, and then for like a sense of light. It's actually brighter than that. Kind of traveling through that upper lip down to her lower lip. Like I want to get to that first. And it gets a little bit, tiny bit grayer once it goes down. So, a little bit more. It's very subtle, but it's there and it's kind of cool. Let's see, I gotta do that. And that. Cool. I'll show you guys in a little bit. Let me finish this, and I'll put it up to the camera so that you can see how I'm blocking this in. Which is really, I love this stage. Fuck, this is such a nice moment of the painting. You can kind of tell why people started becoming really enamored by this moment of a painting and saying, well, I don't really need to paint anymore. I just kind of, you can kind of leave it like that. And the cool thing about us is that there's nothing in art history that is telling us that we can't. We can leave our paintings wherever we want. It just has to communicate, I guess, strongly why we left them there. But let me show you guys, because I kind of like this. I'm liking this stage of the painting. How's that? Yeah, I think that looks fine. So I think it's really kind of cool. So in many ways, I almost feel like, I should do more paintings that I should leave them like that, because it's just nice. It's just a very, very nice kind of fresh moment of the painting. But, there's also a side of me that says, that acknowledges that I want to investigate the painting a little bit more. So, that you have to balance those two things, wanting to be super fresh, and wanting to develop an area that holds your interest. So, or investigate it as much as you can, just to kind of show yourself how much you can kind of stay within an area and just really, really kind of understand it and understand why you were drawn to that area. So I guess those two things are always kind of difficult, just trying to balance just this idea of kind of freshness and being reactive and being expressive with developing an image and kind of risking overworking something. I appreciate that you investigate what is there and not be seduced by the immediacy of the moment. Yeah. I mean, again, there's something to be said about just reacting, because when you react, you're also learning about yourself. But for example, the classes that I'm currently doing, the drawing workshop that I'm currently doing, we investigate form and we try to understand why our bodies kind of mechanically behave the way they do, they work the way they do. And, if we want to do that, we have to understand our structure. And investigating structure is amazing, and especially for me, because I actually love form. I love to depict form and to sort of investigate form. So for me, it's actually like a ton of fun, because I don't really do it from a very traditional standpoint either. So it's always super cool for me to see how I'm going to make sense of things, how I'm going to, what's going to kind of draw my eye, and how I'm going to try to understand something, sort of finding a balance between being an artist but also understanding that there is like a physical part of our body that's very objective. That's, it's going to be the same for every one of us. So kind of balancing the fact that I still want to, again, that I still want to react, but that there's knowledge there's knowledge there that should be understood if I want to instruct the way I react. So that's cool. When do you know when to stop and keep things kind of simple? I don't know. I'm always hoping that it's not just that I'm not capricious, that I don't just say I'm going to stop because it looks nice. Because, there are probably many stages in a painting that look nice. And I also know why, and if I'm going to stop, I also know why I'm stopping. And it's not because I'm afraid to keep going, which many times happens. When we start painting, we are so thirsty for having like the smallest of triumphs. Like, we just want to do one thing well. We don't care, if it's like tiny, but and sometimes if we have it in our painting, we're like, okay, I'm done. This looks great. Like, I don't want to ruin this. But, risking ruining a painting is actually a huge part of learning. So I always also remind myself that yes, you want to be safe, and you want to acknowledge that it is important for you to have those paintings, to hold on to those paintings where you had this little achievement. But I also know that it's important to keep going and to sort of investigate your limits and to see how much you understand something. And it's important in the sense that it's going to teach you you know, your strengths and your weaknesses. So you'll be able to sort of gauge those properly when you're painting. And, you know, if you give yourself a space like I'm doing right now where you can just study things and investigate things, then you sort of know what you're looking for because you've already identified some of your weaknesses. And best thing is not to run away from those. So that's why it's kind of important to keep going, to keep kind of finding that limit of your ability and your knowledge. So I really wanted to get that background into her hair, into the highlights of her hair. It's just really, it's very simple. It's a very simple thing, but usually don't think of them as rules because there's no rules really. But usually a background will sort of manifest itself in the shadow, in the shadows. It kind of fills up the shadow. So that's why I'm kind of pushing those greens there. They're not quite as green in my paint, in my reference, but I think it looks really nice. So I kind of pushed that a little too much, but but I like it actually. So maybe I'm going to keep it. We'll see. Nico, quiero aprender a pintar. ¿Tú cómo lo hiciste? ¿Qué practicaste o practicas? ¿Cómo empezaste? Yo cuento esta historia y siempre he dicho que fue muy traumática porque, pucha, no tengo papel para limpiar pinceles, bueno. Porque comencé a pintar del natural, o sea, me enseñaron a pintar con modelo, o sea, desde el primer día había un modelo posando y tocaba pintar del natural y tocaba pintar como 6 horas del natural. Y eso era terrible, eso para una persona que está comenzando es terrible, es dificilísimo, pero hace el proceso mucho más difícil, pero al mismo tiempo hace que el aprendizaje sea como mucho más profundo. Entonces, sí, toda mi educación fue del natural, digamos, toda. Entonces, pienso que hasta hoy tengo como todavía tengo como ese respeto y ese cariño porque sé que fue muy complejo, fue un momento bien difícil y frustrante, y lo va a ser para todo el mundo, para cualquiera. O sea, obviamente hay gente que es excepcional, que puede tener una mejor experiencia, pero por lo general es un proceso muy difícil. Y por eso es que poca gente pinta, porque se da cuenta que se frustra muy fácilmente, porque la curva para aprender a pintar es larga. Ya después cuando pasas un pedacito como una colinita, se vuelve como algo que puedes disfrutar. Pero la realidad es que al principio uno va a sufrir bastante. O sea, nadie puede como ocultar eso. Sería una tontería ocultarlo. Incluso si estás haciendo súper bien el proceso, es algo que va a costar mucho trabajo. Pero pues la idea es que uno, pues si esto es lo que a uno le gusta, pues que uno se mantenga ahí muy firme, muy juicioso, trabajando, y que no se deje como ganar por esa frustración. Entonces, del natural. ¿Y del natural qué quiere decir? Pues pintar todo el tiempo lo que sea. O sea, pintar afuera, paisajes urbanos, paisajes como naturales, pintar las personas que te rodean, los espacios que te rodean, pintar objetos, pintar lo que sea. Solo mantenerse pintando todo el tiempo. ¿Practicas cilindros y cubos? No, nunca hice eso específicamente, por eso te digo que era es como no saber nadar y uno siente que lo tiran, como lo empujan al lago para que aprenda a nadar. Y, y entonces fue súper difícil, ¿no? O sea, fundamentalmente si le decían a uno, sí, esto es un volumen, o sí, mantenga como la simpleza de ese volumen, o entiéndalo como un volumen simple. Pero no, nunca era el espacio en la clase que nos ponían ahí como esas cabezas que tienen como facetas, que están como divididas por faceticas así todas geométricas. No, nunca fue eso, nunca tuvimos eso. Era pintar y ya. O sea, el ejercicio era siempre el mismo. Era llegar a clase y había una persona posando y ya, y teníamos que pintar. Punto. So I'm getting back to those transparent shadows, just to shape them a little bit kind of nicely. It's an artificial light, so it's going to create these kind of these very weird, almost impossible to predict shapes on her face, mostly because of her glasses, the shadows that her glasses are casting on her face. So it's kind of interesting to go for those, or to sort of acknowledge those, because they're very, like I said, they're super hard to like predict, you know. Let me see. Qué bueno verte en un video nuevo, parce. Gracias, gracias, parce. Pero me voy a quedar un ratito aquí, asistente. ¿Todo bien? ¿Todo bien? Just want to get her corners of the mouth just kind of right. Just to find her drawing so I don't kind of lose that drawing. Cool. Gracias por compartir. No, siempre. That's really nice. The dark there, because it separates her neck from the cast shadow. Oh shit! My iPad is gonna run out of battery, so I have to plug it in. But I think I can. Yeah, probably I can plug it in. ¿Qué usas, barnices liquid? ¿Qué? No, no estoy usando nada. No estoy usando ningún medio, solo pintura. Solo pintura. So let me see. Let me plug my iPad in, because if not, I'm going to have to leave this painting just like this. So give me like a second. If you see my pale ass legs like somewhere in the no, you can't see my legs. So give me a second. I'll show you guys this, like, so you can tell how we're doing. Let me try to. That's pretty cool. So really simple shapes still. Very, very simple. But again, it's always simple. Like painting is never complex. Never, ever complex. It's just doing simple things and doing them really, really well. And doing them like consistently. So let me find that plug so that I can keep painting. Or else I'm going to have to wing it and just do something from my head. Saludos desde México. ¿De dónde eres? Yo soy colombiano. A ver, explico mi nacionalidad súper rápido. Yo soy colombiano, pero nací en Estados Unidos. Estudié mi escuela de arte, pues la hice en Estados Unidos. y viví en Estados Unidos un tiempo, luego me devolví acá. Soy parte colombiano, mi abuelo era alemán, mi abuelo vino como en 1930 aquí a Colombia, se casó con una bugueña, Buga Valle, y entonces soy básicamente como un chandoso del mundo, como un perro callejero del mundo. Gracias. Ya vengo, voy a enchufar este cosito. Ya, 2 segundos, por favor. So 2 seconds, I'll be back. Talk amongst yourselves. Cool. Saludos desde Londres. Uy, Silvia. Bueno, listo. So we're good. I think we're good. So let me see. I'll keep going. Although I really like this as it is. Ugh. Maybe, this is one of the cases that I'm sort of gonna leave it at a point where it's like really loose, because I'm really liking a lot of what's happening. So we'll see. I guess this is the cool thing about doing paintings like on a sketchbook. There's no, or no, not in a sketchbook. I want to emphasize that, because a lot of people are thinking that the sketchbook part is the important part. No. Of doing a paintings in a place where I'm not putting pressure on myself so that paintings look a certain way. They can just sort of be. I really like a lot of what's going on here. So I think I'm just going to suggest the glasses, maybe her eye a little bit, and maybe I'm done, because it's kind of really nice. And when I know that this would be a very short session, but, if it looks cool, why change it? Why not sort of acknowledge it and then just go with it? So let me see if I can put some of the shapes of her glasses down. It's really cool. Like there's a couple of Sargent paintings that are amazing. A couple of portraits that, the sitter has glasses, but he doesn't even paint the damn glasses, and they're there. I don't know how you freaking do that. It's a damn genius. But anyways, so I kind of want to see if I can sort of hint at that. Let's see. That's actually not as dark. Si lo seguís, igual sabemos, blah, blah. Truly, master, love your work and how you put paint down. Oh, thank you. It's very kind. I'm very uncomfortable when people are like kind to me. So, okay, that sounded weird, because now you guys are going to be assholes, but no, I'm very, I get very sort of uncomfortable if people just tell me nice stuff. Come on. That's cool. So these rims, they have a shape. They're angled. They're one of these kind of vintagey glasses. And they point up. They're kind of... come on. So in here... I like it, but I don't want to... I don't know. If I do them too tight, I'm going to lose some of the... then I'm going to have to do everything tight. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that still. Let me see. There's a really nice kind of dark shape, but it's not as dark as because it's filtering through the glasses on this side. Let me see if I can get to that. That's cool. It's cool. And let me see if I can do this, but with a lighter sort of value, so it doesn't feel so harsh. Okay, cool. It's like eggshells. Because one little bad decision and you have to retouch so many things so that it kind of works again. Okay, that's cool. Okay. This one I wouldn't mind. Just okay. Just saying, your struggles with line were so funny. Oh, oof. Oh, I got to tell you what happened. I'm very impatient. I'm like crazy impatient. And I'll show you guys like in a little bit because I had to retouch it. Because I was varnishing one of the pages, one of the other, because it had kind of dried. It had dried. The lion painting had dried. And I was varnishing another little painting, like putting retouch varnish on a little painting that was a couple of pages back. And I was like, well, the lion painting seems fine, and I knew it wasn't. I fucking knew it wasn't. And I was like, I could probably varnish this right now. And I knew I shouldn't have. And I started putting the retouch, and it started lifting all the darks. Like every single dark started. Like the lights were fine, because when I'm using this white, this Michael Harding white, it dries like crazy fast. But the darks were, all my kind of almost every single black started lifting from the painting. And I was like, ah! And I started, panic mode, and I just didn't know what to do. So it kind of looks like I glazed, like those cheap glazes that people do so that things look kind of older. That's what the painting ended up looking like. And I had to retouch everything this morning. I was like, ah. And there's nothing I hate the most than having to paint again something I had already painted. So I'll show you guys in a little bit. But god damn it. But it's just being impatient. And I knew it. Of course I knew. I mean, I've done this a million times, so I knew it. But, sometimes you're just kind of dumb and impatient. I want to keep the shape of her hair, but I want it to be super soft against, on this side. So she has such a pin-up look to her. It's so cool, so freaking cool. Such an amazing model. I mean, such a great girl to have chosen to. Oh fuck! What did I have in this brush? Just it's so cool that she chose to pose. It's so awesome. Like she's doing it to empower herself and to own her body. And it's so awesome. So much respect for that. Which art school did you go to? SVA in New York? Yep, SVA. I was lucky enough to get a scholarship. So,